Hello everybody, I have snuck in again. I was getting ready to paint this new piece right here, this birdhouse, and while I was painting I thought I would go ahead and film. So I haven't picked any of my paints or anything yet. Hold on one second. So basically I'm going to be painting from the seat of my pants. So I don't know what colors will work, but this is what I normally do, and I usually record it, and then I will edit it. And so this is the Easter Blessings bunny that I had done a couple of days ago, and so as you can see, these are inserts that go into this new window box. Let's see if I can. Okay, just seeing if I could get a better view of that. And then this little guy here, he just slips in and out. So this is going to be a similar thing, this birdhouse. So it will slip in and out. Hi Cheryl. Yeah, the bunny is just adorable. I love this too. I love this a lot too. So for spring, you have Easter Blessings, or you have the birdhouses, which go into the summer. And I also did a second happy spring that you can use like after Easter if you want to keep the bunny out. Because bunnies are, I think they're good, you know, they can be good through the summer if you want. But anyway, I'm just going to start picking colors and painting. And I just thought I would bring you guys along for the ride. And I understand if the process of this ends up getting kind of boring, and you know, but normally what I do is I film the whole thing and then I go and edit it. So let me just, I'm going to take my face off of this so I don't have to look at myself. There you go. Okay. So yeah, I do sell the wood, and what I do on the patterns, it sometimes takes me a little bit of time to put them together, but I'll let you know all the paints that I use for this. So, but the other one we have, there's a snowman as well as the bunny. So this is, so each one of them has like a little sign that slips in to the window box, and then that's the snowman. So just like this guy here with the Easter Blessings, so these little signs, you just change these out. So really you only need one window box. The window boxes are very substantial. They use like 2 jumbo sheets of wood to actually create. And this weekend I'm going to show you how to distress a box, but not in blue. We're going to do it in white. Hello, Kathy. So we're going to do it in a white distress, so it'll be a little bit more neutral. Although, that said, like with the bunny, you almost need something, you know, to get the bunny to pop. And the same with the snowman. So I was going to do like more of a neutral tone one, but I'm trying to decide how white it will be, or if it will kind of be more of a gray, white, black, distressed, because you have to have these images to pop. So there's the snowman, and so right now I have 3 inserts that I'll be selling on my website, teawife.com. Okay, so like I said, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to start painting the way I normally would. So I have the little picket fence that goes on this adorable birdhouse here. And you could do it in whitewash, but I'm going to go ahead and just do it in titanium white. And on a lot of my wood pieces, I like to sponge and I like to roll. And it's fast when you're rolling, but also you get an interesting texture whenever you sponge, or if you roll, you get more of a a little bit of a texture that's left behind, and I kind of like that. So I'm just going to start doing the roller. And I sell a type of roller like this, but of course you can just get this at a Home Depot. They're very inexpensive. And what I tend to do is my primary colors that I use a lot, I get a Ziploc bag and I put the roller in it and I mark, titanium white or whatever color I'm using. So like I have a lamp black, I have a buttermilk, and I have enough of these rollers and I just keep them in the Ziploc bags for when I need them. But you can already see, let me see if I go one more in, you can already see that it leaves kind of an interesting texture behind. And certainly you can just paint as well. But the other problem I have with just painting on these laser pieces, brushing it on, is that sometimes you get the goopiness. You know how when you run your brush across these edges, the paint drops into these holes. And when you're sponging, you have less of that. So there's certain things that I will sponge. It's fast and it gives me kind of the look that I like. I'm constantly using the heat tool. So in order to get this process to move along, you just pretty much have to have a heat tool. So another tip when you're doing the MDF wood, you really do need to do the back. The back's going to be hidden. It's going to be glued down, but you start to get warpage really quick. So like I will just go ahead and just run paint on the back because that will help on some of the warpage that you get with MDF. And the other problem I have sometimes with MDF and white is that the tannins from the MDF want to seep through. So you may need more coats on the white than you normally do. So I know that Ronnie Marks had suggested that sometimes if you use a gray, it will help to hide the tannins and then come back with white. I haven't tried that yet. Uh-oh, I just lost my lamp. Right. Okay. Emergency averted. But what I am going to go ahead and do is I'm going to spray a sealant on this, and I could brush varnish as well, but I want to kill out some of these tannins that are starting to leach it through. So just something to think about when you're doing white. Okay, so I'm just going to set this aside for a moment. So these are some of the new colors that just came in with Deco Art. And I really like these two blues. The Grecian blue is kind of similar to a Kris blue, but the gingham blue I really like. If you're doing some pastels, I really do like the gingham blue a lot. But these two, you can see you can shade, and that can be your primary. I think those go together very well. So those are two of the new colors. And I also really like their new lavender haze and their fresh mango and their coral buzz. So I started using some of these in the bunny that I painted. I used some of the new colors in this piece right here. In the carrots, I had the fresh mango, and I had the coral buzz in a couple of different places, and the lavender haze I used in here, and the gingham blue was there. So because I've already started some of these colors in this piece, I'm gonna try to pull them into the birdhouses as well. So I definitely want to do this birdhouse. I'm going to do that in the gingham blue. So I'll move these pieces off. So as you look at this, like, you kind of have to plan this out when you're painting. So this is covered up. That this birdhouse is higher than this one is flat. And so you're thinking about where you're going to be painting. Well, you only need a little bit of whatever color is going to be behind here. So you're not actually painting this piece except for where the window peeks through. But this piece, you are going to paint it all the way here, and the fence will go across the top here. So I want to go ahead and sponge it. I guess I could brush it too. I may just brush it, but I'm going to use the gingham blue for this. And then I'm probably going to use some kind of pink tone or coral tone for this one. Like I said, I'm just planning this out online. I haven't really. This is the way I paint. I just kind of think about what colors are going to work together, and just start throwing them together. And then sometimes when I paint, it's like, ooh, those colors really didn't work very well together. I wanted something else. So, and also, like, these will be little bird holes, and they'll either be lamp black or some kind of brown. Hi, Tony. So your package went out yesterday, and it looks like it should get to you before class on Thursday. Yay! So, all right. I do like sponging this, but sometimes sponging can take a while, and if you use the roller, you're going to end up getting it everywhere. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the blue. So we have to think about what is going to show up here on this side. Let me grab that window box. I want to see how much of this birdhouse is going to show. Okay. All right, so there's a little insert that goes into, that it just slots into this insert. Okay, so now you can see about what is being shown here, what is showing up. So it's probably okay to come across and do the blue, but I don't know. I might do something neutral. I'm not sure. It's not really showing up that much. So this definitely needs to be like brown because it's the stand for the birdhouse. So this will be like a brown. But I think I might just keep the rest of that at the bottom blue because you're not really seeing it. Okay. That's my decision. I'm going to go with that. Because, I mean, you could try to do this like some kind of green for grass along the bottom, but if you're not really seeing it, I don't think it matters much. And part of this is going to show up in the back of the window. So, like this part up is going to show through the window. So I'm probably going to go ahead and paint this blue, and then this side I'll paint it this peachy color, whatever. So, and they do have little roofs on them as well that will cover over part of this. So, like that. So I'll do that in a different color. So again, this is that new gingham blue. Yeah, so it takes a little bit of time to paint these. So I'll do some of this live, and I'll see how far I get doing it live before I need to take a break. But I just thought you guys might like to watch some of the process on how we do these inserts. And these inserts are great because it gives you the ability to choose whatever color palettes that you want, And it's very creative and very fun, and you get to do a lot of color washing and dry brushing and shading and everything, but it certainly is a little bit different than when you sit out to do you know, an illustrative decorative painting subject. These three-dimensional pieces, you kind of handle them a little bit differently, and I do a lot of color washes and dry brushing to bring out all of the subtleness of shades and things. So anyway, I guess I'll do blue across here, but I am starting to think that, well, it's not going to show. So I'll keep going. Because you could come in with like a little bit of green or something if it's really bugging you. And this will be a brown tone, or like kind of a gray brown, I think. I'm feeling kind of brown tones, and so I kind of want to not have too much black in it, but we'll see. Okay, so I need to find a color for this, and like I said, I'm kind of going to go with a peachy tone. Okay, vintage pink it is. Okay, so again, you can brush it on or you can sponge it on. I do really love this color. And like I said, you're going to need to do the back, partially because of the warpage, but also because some of it will be showing through the window box. So there's a piece that comes across here, so you don't have to be perfect on these lines there. Okay. All right, so some of the base coating is just dead boring, so apologies if I'm boring you guys with base coating, but it has to be done. All right, I'm going to go back to the fence, and I'm going to put some more titanium white on it. And like I said, you might have to hit it kind of hard because of the tannins coming through. So I'll just set that aside to dry. Okay. And of course, watching paint dry is a lot of fun as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and paint the backs of it. So that was the vintage pink. And you don't really need to do anything special on the back. I usually don't like do shading or anything on the back. It just depends on how, you know, detailed you want to be. Put that there a second while I have a look. So you have the window hole here and the window hole here, so you will be seeing some of the base of the birdhouse. So after you paint it, you just might have to put it in the insert and see if there's any areas that you missed that you need to put some paint on. So 2 coats. One thing I didn't do that you can do is sand and then seal. And because I'm in a hurry, I didn't do that. So, anyway, 100 lashes with a wet noodle. Shame on me. But I didn't do that because I'm in a hurry. So I'm constantly chasing my tail these days, trying to get things done. So, and of course, the other thing you could do, you could have done a coat of paint, let it dry, sand, and then do another coat of paint. So I didn't do that. I didn't do the sanding in between, so I really am being a bad girl. I'm not doing all those things to make a more perfect piece. Oh, well. Okay, so I need like an asphaltum or something here, but I'm going to clean my workspace a little bit. Let's see how our fence is looking. Okay, I'll probably put one more coat. Anyway, because of the tannins leaching through, I usually do 3 coats of the white. So I did. So you could sand it and seal it, then do a coat of white, and then sand it, seal it again, and then 2 more coats of white. I think that probably would work. And the window box, you don't need to buy but 1 window box, especially if you do it more neutrally, in neutral colors. And then I'm going to add in inserts as they become available. So there will be seasonal inserts and yeah, there's no, so yeah, whenever you want to order, I'm pretty laid back about all that stuff. So, okay, let's see, things are still a little wet. I'm going to grab my asphaltum and color that. if I can find it. Or asphalt them. Everybody always puts an extra H in on asphaltum. So it's an interesting color because it's brown, but it also has just like a hint of a gray in it. And again, the fence is going across the top of this. And this is the back, does not have to be perfect. I think I'm going to do a French dot stencil over the top of my vintage pink. Okay, so sometimes when I create live, I make boo-boos. So you can see that I'm busy painting the right side of the birdhouse in this vintage pink. When I told you earlier in the video that there's an overlay that goes on top of this piece, so you only need limited amount of painting that's showing through the window of that birdhouse. So you will be painting the overlay in vintage pink, then come back with your stencil, whether you use a Swiss dot, French dot stencil, and some warm white. And then finally, you will have to do some shading on the overlay as well underneath the roof line and around the edges. And I will show you how to do that. So don't do what I did. Instead, paint the overlay piece, because I accidentally forgot I was supposed to put that over the top. So I painted this. That looks like a bird's nest. It's not. It's a combination of banana cream and a color wash of asphaltum, because I wanted it to look a little bit like maybe there was some light in there coming through. So anyway, whatever you want to do, you can make it. You can just make it all asphaltum if you don't want any variants of shade in there. So then I have to redo this like I did this. So I'm using the bright salmon to shade. Since I did this earlier and completely forgot that I had this overlay, so I was painting the wrong piece, but we will use this. Okay, so bright salmon. So that's where the other roof is coming through. Okay, I just really need to stop touching things and getting paint in places I shouldn't have it. So we're going to shade underneath. Like I said, you want to move that up a smidge so you don't end up with a an awkward line. Like if you did it here, your line if this roof doesn't go on exactly correctly, you'll end up with a freaky line there. So if you move this up just a little bit, it takes the shade line a little bit further back. Okay, like I said, you want to smooth that line out there. And then dry this, and then we'll deepen, we'll extend out that shade line a little bit. The initial line we put down serves as a guide, as a marker, because you can see it's mostly covered up. So you're going to extend out that line. Still don't think it's far enough down there. Let's see what that, how far down that's going. Yeah, just a little bit deeper. Okay. Perfect. Okay, we're not trying to completely rub out what we already have. You're just trying to distress it a little bit. It's wanting to be too dark, so lift it with your brush or with your finger. What I'm doing is kind of in between a color wash and shading. Not worried about being messy up here because that's where the roof goes. So yeah, I really don't like this shading brush. I need to get my Josanya. This is just not behaving the way I'm used to. Yeah, it's just not releasing the paint where I want it to. Oh, see if I can find my other brush. There it is. Okay, so this one I am gonna go ahead and do the white. I'm gonna use titanium white on that. Get another stencil brush out. What I might do is I'm going to pick up just a small amount of that gingham blue, and I'm going to create a very light color. So it'll be, the white will have just a little bit of a tone to it. So you can see. Although I want to make sure that I don't end up with the same problem I just did, so I want to make sure I have enough white in there. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to do it like this. Yeah, I need a wider stencil. I'm not much of a perfectionist, I must say. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to use this new Grecian blue, which is very similar to Kris blue. So I'm going to go ahead and carry this shade. I'm going to imagine that I've got my birdhouse line right here, so I'm going to carry it down there, even though it won't show. It's not going to be showing. So I'm going to go all the edges, temporarily move that out of the way. Actually, I needed that to be, I'm trying to think what's going to go there. So this is going to go, oh, duh. So I need to shade under the roof. I need to shade under the roof. Okay. So what I usually do, so the roof goes there. So I will move this up just a smidge, and I will put a shade line right under the roof. And then I'll come back after I remove the roof piece, and I will reinforce the shade. So that's how I do the shading under the eaves. So you can see how it makes a real definitive line, and you don't really want that. So I come back and shade again, and then when it dries, I'll come back and shade again. And it doesn't matter if you go into the roof line, because you're going to be hiding that. But you want to make sure you bring the shade line down far enough so that you can actually see it under the eaves. So how's that going to look with the fence? Okay. And then the roof. Okay, so it's shaping up slowly but surely. Now, whenever I do this, do the shading, I'm trying to see where my roof line is. So you can keep it, you know, with the bright gingham, but like if you wanted to add in a little bit more distressed look, you can come back with like a slate gray. Let me see, or a gray sky. Let me see. I got that might be too light. There's zinc. So there's slate gray. So sometimes I'll come back just to add in a touch of a darker shade. So anyway, slate gray, and I sometimes come back just to make it a little bit more shaded, kind of a little bit more distressed. So I often shade with two colors. I don't know if you guys like to do that or not, but sometimes it just adds a little bit of something different to the look. And feel free to use your finger to kind of blend it the way you want. So you're kind of just touching it in. You're not trying to completely lose the shade that you already did, but you see how it kind of sends the brightness a little bit to the back, so it's just not so in your face. And you could even go, if you wanted to go with a slightly darker gray, you could. So it's not like a true shade. It's kind of a subtle feeling of distress. So it just softens it up a little bit. So you can see it's just a real subtle kind of different feeling when you do that. And on the wood piece down here, because it's wood, you don't need to make it opaque. You can kind of leave that asphaltum sort of transparent. So again, remember, this is going to be like this. This is going to be like so. And we could like draw these colors in right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this asphaltum, and I'm going to do this kind of more of a white roof. I'm going to do it asphaltum, but then I'm going to do some distressing. So, okay. All right. Slap it on. And again, because this is a roof, you can keep it pretty translucent. That's one thing I like about asphaltum. If you want to use it kind of like a wood stain, you can do that. Oh, I'm getting paint everywhere. Okay, so this thing is still wet. So that's going to go there. And I think what I want to do is, since I introduced some gray, I want to put, I want to have a little bit of that slate gray in the roof, which will help to tie in that gray that I just used. So, just a little bit of that coral color that ends up there. Okay, so a little bit of slate gray and an old grungy stiff brush. Okay, so I'm going to think of the thatch as going this direction. So I'm going to carry that down. So this is that slate gray. And for highlight purposes, I sometimes like to drag the brush over the edges. It creates kind of an interesting feel. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Yeah. So I don't know if that's a technique that you would want to use or not. Some people like cleaner, crisper colors, and they don't like all the distressed edges and stuff, but I do. So now it's a little in my face. So I'm going to use a little bit of a color wash of the asphaltum, and I'm going to send that back a little bit. So I'm going to use a lot of water and kind of get an inky consistency, and I'm just going to draw that over so I can send some of that slate gray back. Then I'm going to lay a paper towel over, and I'm going to blot some of it. So now you see it took some of that real sharp gray away. Okay. So it's still a little wet on the back, so I don't want to put it there. So that ties in that gray that I used, that slate gray that I used. So with the roof, if you wanted to come back with like a traditional burnt umber, and I may do this later, and shade in here where it's darker, leave this lighter, you can like shade in there with a darker brown. So, or even a soft lamp black. So I may do that later. Okay. So, since I did that there, I'll probably, you're not going to see much of it here, but I am going to go ahead and just do a little bit of that gray. So you won't see much of it at all. And if you want, you can come back on top of that with that little bit of a color wash and do the same thing. It's such a small area that you don't really need to, but okay. So, roof. So you can go straight like a whitewash, titanium white. You can use a sugared peach. So I'm going to try it with sugared peach. I'm going to do this roof line with sugared peach. So there was the Victorian pink. So you see they're kind of in the same family. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you could, if you wanted, to have both of them in that asphaltum, but it's kind of heavy to have both of them brown. That's just my feeling, but just experiment with it to see what colors you want to use. So sugared peach. And like I said, all these edges, I have these markers that I use on the edges. I'll show you. There's a whole bunch of different ones that you can use. This is one that the person who designs all this, her name is Kris Howard of Sawdust Makery. I know a lot of you follow her and know who she is. So she designs the files. She's a graphic artist. She designs the files. And then a lot of us artists buy the files from her and then cut them, and we either sell the finished product or we'll sell the laser kits, or we'll do both, or we'll teach classes or whatever. But this is a pen that she recommends, and basically what you're doing at the end, you will come back on these edges where there's paint. After it fully dries, you don't want to use a marker if it's not fully dry, and you'll come back and you'll just do this on the edge. So, and these are permanent. They're not supposed to bleed if you do sealant. So that's usually what I do to finish up my pieces. And you want to do that before you start gluing everything down. I also like to do a seal of the elements before I glue pieces down as well. And then sometimes after I've glued it together, I may spray seal it again. It just depends. I don't always do things the same every time. So I guess the question on the roof is, since we did one roof distressed, do we come back and do this distressed? So sometimes we like to have a cleaner look. I definitely am going to shade. I think that's dry now. So that's still wet. Yeah, next to the distressed one, you definitely need to do something with that. So I'm gonna try distressing it some way. Okay, I'm gonna just take a little bit of coral cloud, and I'm gonna add in a little distress, and then I'm gonna take in a little bit of asphaltum, which will tie the distressing to the other roof line. So you're bringing in some similar colors. I need to dry that. So I don't know now if I want to add in the asphaltum or not. So let me add in just a little bit of asphaltum. Just kind of, you're almost doing a little bit of dry brushing. You want to be very careful you don't come in too strong with the asphaltum. And again, I like to drag it over the edges a little bit. Okay. So I liked that, what was it? The coral cloud. I'm going to just come back with a little bit more of that. Okay. So, let's see what this looks like now. Okay. So, it's starting to get kind of a little bit of a distressed, shabby chic look. And then this is really, really clean. So, I definitely will come back on the insert piece, not this piece, but the piece that actually goes here. Since I made that boo-boo. So that piece. And I will bring in some tones to tie these in. So like here I brought in some slate gray. Here I might bring in a little bit of asphaltum, and I could even do like a little bit of a color wash of asphaltum to dirty this up a little bit. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do that. I'm going to have to experiment with it. So, okay. So this needs a little bit of white. It's a little bit too muted. So I'm gonna deal with that later, but I probably will come back with a little bit of white as a highlight on that. So that's not really finished. So the other pieces that we have to think about are our birds and butterflies and flowers. These little guys, I'm going to do in asphaltum. And then I'm going to shade them probably in traditional burnt umber or lamp black, or both. They're going to be sitting on blue, because a lot of times I just do, hey, let's do bluebirds. So I can't really do bluebirds, so I'm going to have to figure out. So, and I mean, I could go like more of a yellow. Oh, that's an idea. Yellow. Okay, because the other thing you could do is you could go more like a blue-gray tone. So that there's some blues that have a little bit of gray in them. Okay, everybody's saying gold and yellows. Okay, that would make it stand apart. And especially like if you then come back and say if I'm using the lavender haze, but you have a bit of yellow here, so then that would tie in really well. Okay, that's a deal. That's what I'm going to do. All right. So, let's see here. Since the roof is asphaltum, I definitely might go in with just a little bit of asphaltum up into the roof peak, where it would be exceptionally dark because it's way under the eaves. So let's see. Okay, let's see here. Definitely want to spread this out. I don't want a really strong line. And I'll bring some of it down as well. More over there. So, under these little bird holes, you need to have a bit of asphaltum too. I probably, for continuity, probably could have added in some of this peachy coral buzz and the gingham blue on the blue side. Didn't even really remember that, but I guess if we want it to have the same kind of tone, I have to go back and do that. So there's 2 holes here. Actually, it was Grecian blue because the background blue is gingham. So Grecian is what we use to bring in some extra deeper blue tones. So, and then we'll go back over when it dries with asphaltum. If there's anywhere you want to brighten up the blue, you can do that. Okay, we need to do the same thing over here. With the bright salmon. As I said in the earlier video, that I like layering shading colors. And then the little bird hole pieces are just going to be in asphaltum. And then we'll shade with traditional burnt umber or black, lamp black or black. And like I said, on this background here, if you want, you can do all that completely asphaltum. But I kind of want it to look a little different. So, you know, like my little birdies have their light on in there. Yeah. And you don't actually need more than that because it acts like a wood stain. That's all you need to do on the asphaltum. Just one translucent coat. And like I said, we're going to do some shading. I think let me just get lamp black and see what it looks like. Okay, so now you just need to determine where your shade's going to be, And I'm kind of doing direct sunlight down. So if you have a bit where it's already a little darker, go ahead and commit that to being your darker area. Okay. I could put this back in my pop-up frame. So when I cut it, I cut everything in frames, and that would hold the piece better, but it's seems to be okay just painting it natural like that without having to stick it back in the frame. I think we could probably go a little darker with that. But if you're happy with that, leave it. Uh-oh, got a little bit of asphaltum there. Okay, so the fence needs help. So I'm gonna dirty it up a little bit with asphaltum. I'm trying to think where I'm gonna put my shade. Guess I'll put it on. So the fact that as you shade, you start to lose the intensity of your color, and then when you pick up more color, you gain it again is fine, because if you had a distressed fence, it's not going to be uniform, right? So I'm just trying to give an illusion of distress. And then we're going to add in some shade going the other direction here and there. So it needs to be at the bottom. Just going to kind of skip around a little bit here. You're almost more dabbing this on as opposed to pulling your brush. So if you pull your brush, you don't want it to go over that line, that imaginary fence line. Much better, much better, much better, much better. It needed something. I mean, a white fence just is quite flat and not very realistic, but a lot of people like when they're painting to have very, very white fences, but as we're doing everything distressed. Okay, so I was using that stencil brush earlier, so I want to kind of use it as a dry brush. Whoops, took too much out there. So we're just bringing a little bit of brightness, and we definitely want a little bit more brightness at the top. There we go. Very cool, very cool, very cool. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. Yep, we're starting to shape up. Okay. Now, same with this. It got a little dark, and still got paint in our stencil brush. May need a little bit more paint, but we'll see. So we are going to just brighten that up a little bit. And same with this, just at the top. Okay, now let's see what that looks like. Okay. So cute. It really does look so cute. I'm just thinking what else it needs to pop a little bit. So it's just kind of a subtle, the stencil's not like glaring at you. Perfect. Okay. Now, so earlier today, you guys suggested going with some yellow tones so that we didn't end up having like bluebirds against the blue, and so I'm doing these lavender. I'm going to paint this white, so both these pieces are going to be, actually they kind of need to be in that tone. So I'm going to kind of copy a little bit of what I did. Okay. So I'm going to figure out how to do these kind of in yellows with maybe a little coral pizzazz. Okay, I'm going to use a sponge. And grab a sponge. Sponge stick, that works. And I'm trying to think what I put down first on that color. So the roof was sugared peach first. Okay, sugared peach, and then we can lighten it up. It had a little bit of coral buzz to call for interest, but I don't think I need that on this. So sugared peach, which is very light. And because it's such a light paint, we may end up having some of the issues of the tannins coming through again. So the more surface area you have that's cut, the more tannins are going to try to leach through. So I have some of this, it's a sealant. It's actually a bit of varnish. And I was going to just put it on top to help seal. Sometimes sealing will help to keep some of that leaching from happening. I'm not too worried about this piece because it is a window and it's a wood window, so you know, it's wood. It really bothers me when snowflakes leach out the tannins. You have a perfectly white snowflake, and then you come back a week later and some of the tannins have come through. Okay. Do another coat of the sugar peach. So, I need to get colors for the birds, and we need to do these in lavender haze, brand new lavender haze. Get another sponge stick, and I like to use sponge sticks especially on some of these pieces that have scoring. Sometimes it helps, except where it was goopy, it can help maintain some of your scoring lines. If you use a brush, sometimes the paint will seep down into the scoring lines or will get pushed down into the scored lines and you completely lose them. So sponges come in handy that way. Now I need to figure out like a yellow ochre or saffron. I'm going to look on that and just see what I got. Starting to get dark now, so it's harder for me to see my pinks. Okay, so there's antique gold, there's yellow ochre, and let's see. So we're going to try the yellow ochre, and then we can come back with a slightly brighter yellow after. Okay, before I do that, I'm just going to sponge on a little bit of white onto the window. Let me see. Get a little closer. Alright, I'm just going to use the dirty side of my sponge and going to add in just a little bit of the white just for interest. Okay, there you go. So looks like I can put in another coat of the lavender. Now for the yellow ochre, we're going to sponge that onto the body of the bird. Okay, I'm going to take a little stippling brush here, and I'm going to take that yellow ochre, and I'm going to go into the middle of the flower. And there you go. Did that. Now for the wings, we want them to be a little different. What should we do? Let's take a little bit of the coral cloud. And to tie that in, we're going to put a little bit on the tail, even though we've got to come back with one other round of this. A little bit at the front, a little bit at the top. We'll go back over it again so we can tie those colors in. So now I'm going to use banana cream as well to stipple into the tops, the center of the flowers. So a little bit of banana cream, which is a little lighter in tone. Okay. Going to take that out a little bit. Okay, so now I need a darker lavender for the ends of the flowers. So I think Perfect Perry will be perfect. Perfect Perry. And I'm going to take a bit of this sponge because it's sitting here. It's just wanting me to use it. And I'm going to just kind of, I think I need a more solid sponge. That sponge is not really wanting to hold up to the job. Another thing that would work too, let me see, I'll get another stiff brush. So just a cheap old stiff brush. So you're just hitting the ends a little bit. I guess you could have, instead of doing the darker color, you could have done a lighter color. But it doesn't really matter. It just allows a little extra variance of color so they're not, the flowers aren't so flat in one color. Okay. And we also need to paint this in lavender haze as well. Uh-oh, I'm missing my ing. Where did my ing go? I've got too much stuff over here and I've lost it. I really have lost it. I need my ing. Well, darn. There's the welcome spring sign. I wonder if it's fallen on the floor somewhere. I'm definitely not seeing it. Well, I can't paint that until I find the rest of spring. Spring, spring, where are you? You have vanished. I'll do that later. Okay, back to the task at hand. So, we can come back with a little bit of, I guess, the yellow ochre and a touch of asphaltum, just so you get a little bit of shading in there. Okay, and just going to put it on the tail as well. So now we want to brighten up the little birdie with a little banana cream. So I'm taking a sponge and I'm just, whoops, that's way too heavy. Don't like that. Don't like that. It's supposed to be a gentle sponge. Sometimes these makeup sponges are not very good for that. I need to order more of this particular kind. These are more specifically craft sponges, and you can get some softer effects with all the porous holes on them. You could also use a stippler and do this if you prefer. Okay. That's better. Okay, we want to tie these colors together, so we need to have some of this on the wing as well. And the tail. Nice. So I'm going to come in with a bit of asphaltum. Some of that. And a little bit of the coral the coral buzz. So these are very realistic colors. So when you go out into your garden, you're going to see a golden bird with all these colors, right? Because they're so realistic. Okay, and just for funsies, I'm going to add just a little bit of that into the petals to make it a little something something. Okay. Okay, so we're going to get just a little bit of the banana cream across the top of these pieces. And that bit is just crying out for a little bit of this coral cloud. I think that's what I was using, was coral cloud. Let me see. No, peaches and cream. No, coral cloud. Coral cloud. So I just kind of mix and blend colors until I kind of get a look that I like. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Very cute little birdies. Okay. When I get close to finishing a project, it feels like all my paints are just like encroaching in on my territory. It's like, no, scary. Okay, let's see what this stuff looks like now. I don't know where my spring word went to. That's very frustrating when that happens and you can't find your pieces. It's better for me because I can go and cut more things if I have to. If any of you are working on your pieces and you lose something, it's like you don't have me next door to cut you a new piece, so you have to go for a massive hunt and search if something falls off your table and the dog runs away with it. So we need a little bit, you just feel like you need a little bit of lightness up there. So I'm going to do a little float of white, methinks. And you can do your floats and shades on these things, like if you prefer to do them on the right side or the left side or whatever, however you normally do them. Okay. Oh, the other way. Okay. I'm sure there's other things I'll want to highlight. Yeah, the flowers all are going to need a little bit of highlights. So let me put a little float of white. There we go. Okay. Now, let me think. So on the Welcome Spring, I can go Lavender Haze. I can go yellow again. So I'm not sure yet what color I'm going to go with if I ever find my words. My spring. Okay, let's see what this puppy looks like. So we still have that guy to do, that gal. A little butterfly. So that kind of goes there, and it needs a wing. Got to do its little eye with the dot of black. This can go here, there, doesn't matter. And then flower there, flower there, flower there, window there. And there's that piece. Yep. Let me zoom out again. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom out. Yeah, that's really cute. Cute, cute, cute. These guys are a little drab. I'm going to brighten them up. I'm going to brighten up these little birdies. Their yellow is a little sad. They need a little cheeriness. And figure out something for that. So I'm going to use a dry brush. And let's see. So I sponged the banana cream. Now I'm gonna try dry brushing a little bit of the banana cream. See if I can bring some life. I do love the sponge effect, though. I don't want to lose all that. I think I need more of a white float as well. What I put down wasn't enough. Okay. So this part can be asphaltum. And then I am going to make it, I'm going to use this Coral Buzz. Ah. Okay, a little bit of coral cloud. And now a little bit of a neon fiery red. If I can find it. Found the orange one. Like I said, it's getting very dark in my art studio, so finding anything is a challenge. I do not have lights in my paint area, and I really need to figure out the best way to do that. You can get these LED lights that, you know, stick on the furniture, whatever your cabinetry is. However, they're not cheap. Because I put a couple of them in my kitchen area, and I'm like, golly. The ones that are good are not very cheap. Okay. So I'm just kind of putting it here and there. There we go. brightness. I still feel like I could go even brighter on these birdies. So you can use a stylus and come in with some black, or you can use a little marker, whatever you want to do for the eye. Where is my marker? Okay. Here we go. Well, you're not really supposed to go outside the line like that. That's a bit of a mess. If you want to reinforce any of your lines, you can. So these Rotrines, they're not overly expensive because you refill them. You reuse them, refill them. Initially, I think they're like 20 per pen, and this one is a 0.35. But you just change out, you know, you add your black or your brown ink or whatever, white ink, whatever you're using. And the thing I like about it is the metal tip fits in these grooves. So I'm just trying to see if there's any other places. I mean, the score line's kept pretty good here, so I don't think I need any. So you could do like little accent lines and stuff if you wanted. I don't really see anywhere that I want to do it. So, or you do a little outline, like a primitive outline, but I am not going to do that. Ooh, love it. I guess that would have been better purple. It would have been better to tie in, but it's kind of late now. It is what it is. It's a very pretty butterfly, but I would have liked it to have tied in. And okay. So there you go. Now I've got to do the word piece, but I need to spray seal all of this and let it dry and work on the word piece. So that is it for now, I think, on this piece, and it will be glued together, and I will be able to take pictures of it in the insert tomorrow to show you guys. So if you made it through this video, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, well, this is Kathy McAllister of Teawife Creations, and I'll chat soon. Bye, love you guys.